two stories separated by cultures and oceans. Noah, in the biblical tradition, is chosen by God to save his family and the animals in an ark that would survive the greatest cataclysm ever recorded. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, Zeus, the king of the gods, unleashes a deadly flood to punish humanity for its arrogance and corruption. Both accounts speak of destruction, judgment, and renewal. But the similarity between them is too striking to ignore. Noah is described as a righteous man in the midst of a morally collapsing world. According to the biblical account, God decides to destroy everything with a flood but gives Noah a mission: to build an ark that will carry his family and the animals to salvation. After 40 days and 40 nights of rain, the waters finally recede, and life begins anew. Now, let's move to Olympus. Zeus, furious with humanity's depravity and lack of respect, decides the only solution is to eliminate them all. He sends a devastating storm that covers the entire earth, but Deucalion, the son of Prometheus, and his wife, Pyrrha, are warned to build a boat. After the catastrophe, they survive and are tasked with repopulating the world. The similarity lies not only in the events but also in the symbolism. The flood is not just destruction, it is purification. It is a new beginning. And in both accounts, the renewal depends on a chosen survivor, someone righteous and obedient. How can these stories, told in such distant places and different times, be so similar? Some theories point to a historical event that inspired both accounts. For instance, the end of the last ice age, about 12,000 years ago, was marked by significant climatic changes. Melting glaciers, rising oceans, and entire populations being displaced. Studies suggest that entire regions, like the Black Sea, might have been catastrophically flooded. Imagine an event so devastating that it would have been imprinted on humanity's collective memory. But there's more. Why do both stories speak of divine punishment? Why is the flood always presented as a response to human behavior? It seems that, for these cultures, the flood was not merely a natural catastrophe but a supernatural intervention with a clear purpose: to correct humanity's wrongs. Let's go beyond the historical question. What if these stories point to something deeper? God, in the Bible, is described as just and merciful. He punishes but offers a chance for redemption. Zeus, in Greek mythology, is known for his wrath and impulsiveness, yet he also allows Deucalion and Pyrrha to survive. Here, we see two aspects of the same idea: divine power as both judge and protector. Moreover, there are intriguing parallels. God gives Noah precise instructions on how to build the ark. In Greek mythology, Prometheus, known for his divine wisdom, warns Deucalion about the flood and guides him in building the boat. After the flood, Noah offers a sacrifice to God, and the Bible describes how he is pleased with the aroma. Deucalion and Pyrrha, in turn, thank the gods with prayers and rituals, also securing their favor. These elements suggest a profound connection between the stories, something that goes beyond mere similarities. The most fascinating aspect is that flood stories appear in various cultures worldwide. In Mesopotamia, there's the Epic of Gilgamesh, where Utnapishtim also builds a boat to survive a divine flood. Among the Maya, there are accounts of a flood marking the end of an era. Even in India, there's the myth of Manu, who receives a divine warning to prepare for a great deluge. Could all these stories be echoes of a single event? Or do they represent something more symbolic, a universal archetype of the struggle between chaos and order, of destruction as a prelude to renewal? Imagine two civilizations separated by thousands of years and hundreds of kilometers, one in the Middle East and the other in ancient Greece. Each with its own customs, beliefs, and ways of interpreting the world. Yet, both shared a story so similar that it's almost impossible not to notice: a flood sent by divine forces to destroy humanity while giving the survivors a new chance. In the biblical account, God is described as just and merciful but also stern. He decides to send the flood because humanity had become so corrupt that there was no hope left. However, he chooses Noah, a righteous man, to save his family and the animals, ensuring the continuity of creation. Now, let's look at Greek mythology. Zeus, the king of the gods, also decides to destroy humanity because of its corruption. However, he saves Deucalion and his wife, Pyrrha, who are considered the most virtuous among mortals. They are warned about the flood and given the chance to survive. Just like Noah, they build a boat and, at the end of the disaster, are tasked with repopulating the earth. The similarities go beyond the central narrative. Let's examine the details. In both stories, the flood is triggered by human behavior. In the biblical account, wickedness had grown so pervasive that every inclination of the thoughts of their hearts was only evil continually. Genesis 6 verse 5. In Greek mythology, humans not only disrespected the gods but also acted arrogantly and corruptly, ignoring the laws of the cosmos. The central message is clear: when humanity strays too far from the right path, something must be done. Noah is chosen by God for his righteousness. He is described as a righteous man, blameless among his generation. Genesis 6 verse 9. Similarly, Deucalion and Pyrrha are portrayed as the only just and pious mortals, deserving of salvation. This suggests a universal theme, the concept of divine justice, where the righteous are protected even amidst destruction. Both Noah and Deucalion are instructed to build a boat. Noah is directly guided by God, who provides precise measurements for the ark. Deucalion, on the other hand, is warned by his father, Prometheus, known for his divine wisdom. This detail raises an intriguing question. Why do different cultures choose the same element, a boat, as a symbol of salvation? Could this reflect real events, such as historical floods requiring boats for survival? In both stories, water is not just a destructive force but also a purifying one. It symbolizes a fresh start, sweeping away corruption to make way for a new era. After the flood, both Noah and Deucalion offer something to their saviors. Noah makes a sacrifice to God, and the Bible describes how the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma and promised never to destroy the earth with a flood again. Deucalion and Pyrrha, in turn, pray to the gods and follow their instructions to repopulate the world. The idea that humanity can only continue after expressing gratitude is another common thread that transcends cultures. The repetition of these elements across such different cultures raises a question that defies logic. How is this possible? Could these accounts be echoes of the same real event, a disaster so immense that it deeply imprinted itself on humanity's collective memory? Or perhaps these stories reveal something even deeper, a universal truth about how different peoples interpreted the relationship between humanity, divinity, and the transformative power of water. When comparing the accounts, we notice that the similarities lie not only in the superficial details but in what they symbolize. The flood is not merely divine punishment but a reminder that, even in the darkest moments, there is hope. In Greek mythology, Zeus is not just the king of the gods but also the guardian of divine laws and order. When humans began to challenge that order with arrogant and corrupt behavior, Zeus decided they no longer deserved to live. He summoned a flood, a catastrophic event to end all of humanity. Zeus's motivation was clear. He saw humanity as a threat to divine harmony. His act of destruction was more a reflection of his authority and power than of mercy. Unlike the biblical god, Zeus did not offer a universal solution. He merely tolerated Deucalion and Pyrrha's escape, not out of pity, but because Prometheus, the rebellious titan, warned and helped them. Still, there are striking similarities between the stories. In both the Bible and Greek mythology, the flood is used as a symbol of destruction and purification. In both narratives, the flood is a punishment directed at all of humanity, not specific individuals. It is an act that redefines the world. Zeus's fury is accompanied by thunder and storms, features often associated with the manifestation of divine presence. In the biblical account, God's voice and the ceaseless rain also reveal his absolute power. These parallels show that, despite cultural differences, both stories represent the idea that divine forces are aware of human behavior and will not hesitate to intervene catastrophically if necessary. But what if these accounts, despite their supernatural elements, were inspired by real events? For the Greeks, Zeus sending the flood might have been a divine explanation for catastrophic floods they experienced. Similarly, Noah's flood could have been a symbolic way to narrate a natural disaster that profoundly impacted ancient peoples. Here, science offers some clues. Great historical floods, as mentioned earlier, the Black Sea deluge and the rising seas at the end of the Ice Age, may have been so impactful that they echoed across various cultures, interpreted as divine punishment or judgment. Ancestral memory for ancient societies, natural forces were inseparable from the divine. A devastating event like a flood was not just natural, it was personal, a clear sign of divine wrath. In both stories, destruction is not just an end but a means. Water, used to submerge and purify, emerges as a universal element of renewal. But why do so many cultures associate water with divine intervention? In Noah's case, God sends the flood to correct human corruption. His intent is clear: to destroy in order to renew. However, he offers a second chance. By saving Noah, his family, and the animals, God demonstrates that destruction is accompanied by redemption. It is a message of hope amidst chaos. In the wrath of Zeus, however, the flood has a more impulsive origin. Zeus, angered by the disobedience and insolence of humans, acts as an enraged judge. Yet, even in his fury, there is room for renewal. Deucalion and Pyrrha, the sole survivors, are given the chance to rebuild the world, not as continuous punishment but as a form of renewal. Both deities, despite their differences, seem to convey the same message. Humanity's mistakes have consequences, but there will always be an opportunity to start over. These stories are not just about the gods. They also reveal much about the humans who created them. For the ancients, the forces of nature were seen as direct manifestations of divine will. A flood, with its massive destruction, was not merely a climatic disaster. It was a response to human actions. It was a way to hold humanity accountable for its sins, placing it as a co-author of its own destruction. Noah and the wrath of Zeus show how the ancients dealt with chaos, by transforming the incomprehensible into a lesson. These narratives illustrate that humanity has always sought order and meaning, even in its darkest moments. What do these stories teach us? The relationship between humans and the divine in both the Bible and Greek mythology. The gods are deeply involved in human life. Noah is chosen by God as an example of virtue. Similarly, Zeus observes and judges humans, intervening directly when he believes they have crossed the line. The message seems clear: humanity is not alone. Our actions are observed and, in some way, judged. The fragility of humanity, the flood reminds us of our vulnerability. It is a powerful metaphor for the fact that nature, or divine forces, is greater than us. Yet, at the same time, these stories demonstrate that humanity has the capacity to start over, to learn from its mistakes, and to build something new. The role of justice and renewal in both accounts. Destruction comes with a chance for redemption. Noah's Ark is not just a means of survival. It symbolizes the salvation of what is pure and good. In the Greek myth, Deucalion and Pyrrha are given the chance to remake the world, bearing the responsibility of correcting past mistakes. Even if these accounts were inspired by real events, such as catastrophic floods, the symbolic depth they carry goes beyond what science can explain. These stories are a timeless reminder that chaos can be transformed into order and that, even in the face of destruction, there is room for hope. They also challenge us to reflect on our actions and the impact we have on the world around us. Whether it is Zeus with his fury or God with his justice, the central theme remains the same: the balance between judgment and mercy, destruction and renewal, punishment and redemption. In the end, these stories, mythological or religious, share something in common. They reflect the human desire to find purpose in chaos. They show that even in the face of destruction, there is always hope. Perhaps the flood is more than a legend. Perhaps it is a message, a warning that humanity must find balance, or the forces of the universe, or the divine, will intervene again. Ultimately, the connection between the biblical flood and the wrath of Zeus raises questions that go beyond history or science. Why do so many accounts attribute to water the role of destroyer and purifier? Why is the idea of a god punishing humanity so universal? Zeus and God, though separated by their characteristics and mythologies, represent two sides of the same coin: the divine power to restart the world, whether through wrath or compassion. And you, do you believe these accounts are echoes of a real event or merely reflections of human imagination trying to make sense of chaos?